Hi, it's Russell from Wedola, and today I'm going to run you through setting up your Wedola account for the first time and show you some of the things that I would do when first getting started. You get a 14-day free trial to check out all of the features that Wedola has to offer, and Wedola is a CRM designed for and by wedding professionals that is going to make booking clients and giving your clients an even better experience when it comes to booking you for their wedding. So let's get started. I'm on the Wedola homepage right now, and to create an account, I'm going to go up to sign up. And from here, I'm going to fill out some basic details. So I'm going to make a dummy account and then click start free trial. The first thing that you're going to see is the terms and conditions of use. So if you have a quick read through that and click agree. And then we're going to get into the welcome wizard, which is going to ask you a few questions about your wedding business. And it's also then going to use that information to tailor the platform to your specific industry. I am a videographer, so I'm going to select that. And I'm going to upload a profile picture. So this profile picture is going to be the profile picture that I see within my account. It's also going to be the default picture for my email signatures, as well as the logo, which is going to go on things like my client portal, proposals, invoices, and contracts. So it's always good to have both of those before you get started. Because things like the contracts and invoices have a white background, having a transparent PNG for your logo tends to look best. But you can always change this later on as well if you like. And this information is basically going to build your business profile, things like your email signatures, show on your contracts and invoices. You can also change this. If you don't want this information on your email signature, you can customize that later on down the line as well. I'm going to choose my default currency. So this is really important for things like connecting Stripe, also for your invoices, proposals, and contracts. So you know which currency you're going to bill in. And also for my calendar time zone, I'm going to pick Europe, London, because that is the time zone I am in at the moment. And this is also really important for making sure that when your clients book you, that we're booking the right times, depending on what area your client is based in when they're booking you to. It's also really important for synchronizing your calendar events with your devices later on. I can pick how I prefer to sign off emails, so I'm going to choose best wishes. And then to start with, I can pick which brand color suits my branding best. So I'm going to leave it as default for now, but you can pick whichever color suits your branding the most at the moment. You can also customize this later on with a custom color, but for now I'm going to leave it as default. And then font style. I quite like the look of modern capitals. I think that is a really smart choice for weddings, but for now I'm going to leave it as simple. So from here it's giving me some next steps tips. So I'm going to complete my profile and settings. I'm also going to scan the QR code to install the web app on my phone, and I love the web app so much because it enables push notifications. I'm getting real-time updates on things that my couples are doing within their account, like signing contracts, paying invoices, viewing their client portal, changing their profile pictures. It's perfect. I'm then going to create a custom contact form, which I can embed into my website to automatically feed in all of that data from my website directly into my Wedola profile, as well as creating a bio link, which I can add into my social media links so that inquiries from social media also come directly into my system. Okay, so the first thing I'm landing on is the dashboard. As you have more information, more weddings, more inquiries, all of this will populate with some really useful information. It's going to show me how many days there are until my next wedding, how many weddings of this year I finished and how many I've got left, how many inquiries I get average each month, and also how many over the past few days. And I can change this to look over the last month, last 3 months, and last 4 months. You'll also have an overview of your week ahead with this little planner segment here. Any new inquiries that come in that you haven't responded to yet will show in this box, as well as some basic analytics features here, so I can see how many clients I'm still working with, where they've come from, and which month ahead is my busiest. Any upcoming to-do tasks, things like editing videos or arranging calls, will appear in this section here. And upcoming workflows, so these are going to be email automations that I'm going to schedule ahead of my couple's weddings to give them more information, to encourage them to book a call or give them some tips on how to get the best experience when working with me as their videographer. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is head over to settings, and I'm just going to check that all of my profile information is complete. By default, two-factor authentication is turned on. This basically adds an extra layer of security. So when I want to log into my account, it will email me a 6-digit code that I have to enter in order to verify my identity. So it's a good feature to have turned on. So first off, under the company information tab, it has all of the information about my business. So I'm going to put in here my bank payment details. So when customers are sent invoices, this bank transfer information is going to show in the footer of the invoices and on the invoice page. So when they make a bank transfer, they have all of that detail automatically there ready to pay. By default, your invoice numbers start from 1, logically. If I want to change this so that it doesn't look like I'm sending couples an invoice for the very first time, I can create a custom number in here just so that it will then count up from that number thereafter. When I'm working with my couples, I don't have a percentage deposit, I have a flat fee as a booking fee. But if you charge a default percentage amount for a deposit, say 20% of the booking, if I was to enter 20% in here, this will basically allow me to then split out invoices later down the line to create an invoice just for a 20% deposit. But for now, I'm going to just leave that section blank. And because I am VAT registered, I'm going to enter the VAT rate, which is currently 20%. And then moving on to team members. So team members may be people like photographers in my case that I would work with regularly, that I would maybe want to send them either a schedule or a calendar invite, or maybe the answers from a submitted questionnaire that a couple has filled out if we're working together, or maybe even a second shooter or an assistant. So I can actually add their name and email address here to save their details to quickly be able to send them information in the future. Just as an example, I'm going to add in John Doe, who let's say is my second shooter, and then I'll be able to email him all of the details of a wedding if I need to. Next up is style customization. So like I said earlier, we can pick a default theme color, which is going to change not only some of the elements within your dashboard, but also change things like the buttons in proposals, invoices, contracts, just to really match my brand. So if I wanted to, I can pick a custom color, but for now, I'm actually just going to leave that as default. All of your couples by default get a client portal, and the client portal is one of my favorite features. It's a password protected place where couples can log in, they can see all of their details, any questionnaires, proposals, contracts, invoices, all of the emails that you've sent them via Wedola, all in one easy to use place, which is mobile responsive as well. So it looks great on mobile devices. So because I want to jazz up my client portal, I'm going to drag in this stock image just to give it a bit of a nicer background. I'm also going to tick on the soft focus effect, and this is basically going to apply like a little bit of a blur so that the text pops a little bit more against that. I'll show you an example of how this is going to look a little bit later on. And I'm actually going to upload a white version of my logo so that it stands out nicely in the client portal against that background. So even though I uploaded the black one earlier, I can specify a different logo specific to the client portal if I would like. I can also add a review link in there. So if I would like my couples to leave me a Google review, for example, I can link them straight to it from their client portal. Here I can also change the font style that we chose earlier, as well as choosing the design style of my contact form input boxes. I can also toggle on whether all of the contact form fields are required, just to encourage people to fill out even more of the fields on there. Just to let you know that even if that is turned on, clients can still complete the form without submitting it, but they are less likely to leave a lot of them blank, just for the better user experience. Moving on to email signature, I can customize this to make it a bit different to the information that I've submitted in my profile. If I wanted to have a different address or a different phone number, or not have a phone number at all, I can customize this to see exactly how it's going to look in the emails that are sent. I can preview it down at the bottom. I can also send myself a test email so I can see how those emails are going to look. And if I'm using something like Gmail, I can actually copy the HTML of the email signature to my clipboard to paste into Gmail so that I can have a consistent email signature, whether I'm emailing people from Wedola or from my email account. Now let's look at preferences. So preferences gives you so many options to customize how your Wedola account works. So first at the top here, we have the settings for automatic contracts and invoices. This is going to generate automatically the contracts and invoices when you send a client a proposal, if you have this option turned on. I can specify how many days after the proposal is sent that a deposit or booking fee is due. By default, that is 7 days. It gives your couple 7 days to pay the deposit and get booked in. If I'm offering things like a part payment, so a secondary payment before the final balance, I can enter that in this box. So right now, by default, it's set at 2 months before the wedding day. And then finally, the final balance. So I personally ask my couples to pay any final balances 30 days before their wedding. So I can set these dates here. And if I connect Stripe to accept card, I can toggle whether or not I would like to accept card for these payments. Because Stripe charges a fee for taking card payments, you may want to just toggle this on just for the deposit so that the client can book in nice and quickly, or you may like to make it easy for your couples and accept card for all of the payments, especially if you are dealing with international clients that may struggle with making a bank transfer in your country, or if they want to pay by credit card, for example. Contract signatures. So by default, signatures for contracts are turned on. This means that when you're sending out a contract to a couple, they will need to digitally sign it either with their finger on a mobile device or using their cursor on a desktop device. This is a really nice and easy process for your couples to agree to your terms and conditions. If this is turned off, there will be a statement within your contract automatically that states that by paying any retainer, booking fee or deposit, that they agree to the terms and conditions laid out within the contract. So contract signatures are optional but recommended. Invoice reminders are automatically turned on for 30 days before a payment, 7 days before a payment, and 1 day before a payment. So when you're making invoices, you always set a payment due by date. These invoice reminders will go out at 9 a.m. every day until the invoice is either automatically paid via Stripe or they send a bank transfer payment and you mark the invoice as paid. They're really polite reminders, so you don't have to worry about forgetting to chase couples to pay their final balances. I deal with a lot of international couples in my wedding videography business, so I have the option here to turn on alternative currencies within proposals, contracts and invoices. This is just for display purposes only. It just gives my couples an indication of how much they're going to pay approximately in their local currency. So if I'm invoicing a couple who's based in the US, I'm going to be invoicing them in British pounds, but they'll see underneath the equivalent amount in American dollars, Canadian dollars and euros just for reference. So I'm going to turn that on. Deliverables markers are a really helpful tool for me to see when a wedding video is due. So I'm going to set that to 8 weeks because I try and deliver my couple's videos 8 weeks after the wedding date according to the contract. And you can change this to how many weeks it normally takes you to deliver your final product to your couple. The couple won't be informed about your deliverables times, but you will see that within your planner so that you've got a visual representation of when a particular gallery or job is due after the wedding. When we go to set up our contact form, we can actually turn off the ability for people to inquire for dates that we're already booked out on. I probably wouldn't recommend turning that on just to allow couples to inquire for all dates, just as a good business practice, but some users prefer to only allow inquiries for certain dates that they're not booked for. So I can always turn that on or off. I can choose whether I get copies of the emails that I'm sending to couples via Wedola. I turn this on because I like to see exactly what's been sent. And also if you have the partner's email address, you can get that CC'd into all of the emails so that both parties get copies of all of the information that you're sending them. So if you have a recurring nightmare about missing a wedding and it not being in your diary, then you can turn on these event email reminders. This is going to email you a week and 1 day before a wedding, just to remind you, hey, you've got a wedding next week and you've got a wedding tomorrow, don't forget. So you can turn those on or off. And then lastly, we have a cute confetti effect which plays when you book somebody in, so you can turn these on and off within the settings. Now looking under integrations, there's a QR code that I can scan with my phone to install the Wedola web app and enable push notifications. I can also connect Stripe, which essentially creates a Wedola specific Stripe account that you can link to your bank account, which is available in American dollars, euros, and people accepting Great British pounds. There are fees associated with Stripe, so you may want to think about whether this is the right option for you. And this enables card payments for any of your invoices that you issue via Wedola, and then the funds are transferred instantly to your Wedola Stripe account. We have the option to link accounts. So if you run multiple wedding businesses, for example, if you're a videographer as well as a content creator or maybe a DJ, you can create multiple Wedola accounts and link the two together. Right now, we support the sharing of the planner view, so you can see and compare the different tasks that you've got booked in on both accounts. And we're hoping in the future to be able to create more functionality for linked accounts. So by using this button, I can link them together and I can link up to 5 Wedola accounts to one. Linked accounts share their own subscription and their own data. So if you want to send specific workflows for different brands, have different email signatures, different wording within your templates, then it's a really good way of being able to manage both accounts and quickly switch between them. Under import and export data, I can export any couples that I have, any tasks, any weddings that I have. If I want to create a backup of those, maybe on Google Drive or on my computer, I can also use this feature to import clients from an existing platform or a spreadsheet that I have so that they're all automatically imported in one go. The way to do this is you download the empty CSV file template. This contains fields like their first name, last name, email address, phone number, partner's name, and so on. You basically complete this CSV file, save it, and it's going to create all of those couples for you without you having to manually re-enter all of their details one by one. You can also set them as a specific status so that if I have email automation set up, they will be receiving emails automatically based on that status as soon as they are created. Once you've added a task to your Wedola planner, you will see a link here which you can then use to subscribe within your device. This link is compatible with all email providers, so if you're using Gmail, Outlook, iCloud, you can just add this link into your device and it's going to automatically synchronize your weddings and tasks. One thing to note though is that if you are using the calendar subscription link, it doesn't automatically block the date out in your calendar as busy on your device. So what you may prefer to do, as we'll see later, is when we're adding a task in, to download the calendar file, add that into your calendar, and that is going to reserve the date as busy within your device. So if you're using something like TidyCal or Calendly, it's going to make sure that people can't book calls on those dates because they're going to be reserved as busy. If you enjoy using Wedola and you want to continue it after your 14-day trial, you can subscribe to a paid plan, and this is going to keep the price that you pay for the duration of your subscription. So there's not any unexpected price rises with Wedola. We're constantly learning from our users about how we can make Wedola better, so you can always check out the latest updates that we've issued in app updates. So I've just headed back to the dashboard because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create my contact form, which I'm going to embed into my website and also into my Instagram profile. But just having a quick look at the dashboard, you can see this note icon up in the top corner. This is basically going to give me a notepad. So if there's anything that I need to remember or quickly jot down when I'm dealing with a couple or an inquiry, I can write that into this box and it's going to save that automatically. I can also see my notifications which have come in. So this is always going to show me a list of notifications like when couples have had their emails delivered or opened or signed a contract or accepted a proposal. And if I want to view all of my notifications in one, I can click this button and show them in a long list. From time to time, I like to click clear all and just clear all of those notifications so that I get a clear view of what I need to deal with next. And if I need help at any point, I can click the question mark button, submit a help desk ticket, join the Facebook group, and get a reminder of how this works. So let's go ahead and set up the contact form. So I'm going to create a contact form, which, as you can see, has the style with the square edges that we chose earlier on today. I've chosen to add my logo at the top of my contact form, and I'm going to give it a title, so I'm going to call it Contact Me. So I definitely want to have venue. I also want to ask for the partner's name and a phone number, as well as a message. So I get to preview what the contact form is going to look like over here on the side. What I might like to do is I might like to put partner's name up above the venue, so I can use these buttons here to move the position of these fields up and down. I can also create drop downs as well, which will allow my couples to pick from a list of options. Okay, that's looking good. Now let's preview it. So this is what it's going to look like on desktop, and I can toggle this switch here to see what it's going to look like on mobile. So now that my contact form is ready, I can copy the embed code and embed that into my website. I can also copy the bio link and paste that link into my Instagram and TikTok bio so that people can inquire directly into Wedola from wherever they find me. I can also generate a QR code so that if I am maybe attending a wedding fair or have some brochures printed, I can include that QR code on those brochures so that people can jump directly to my bio link and inquire from there. So let's preview what the contact form is going to look like. This is what it's going to look like on desktop. It's all responsive as well, so it will fit mobile devices really beautifully. So I say, let's fill out a test inquiry and see how the process of inquiry to booked can really work. What you might like to do is fill out a test inquiry with your personal email address, just so you can get a feel of setting yourself up as a client and get a feel of how the process works when you're onboarding and booking a client with Wedola. Okay, let's submit this test inquiry and see what happens. I have got an email come through. So immediately I have got the inquiry come through to my email address, which is confirming that I'm available. Obviously right now I don't have any tasks within my Wedola planner, so all of the dates are currently available, but it shows all of the information here that the client has submitted via the contact form, and I can actually either respond directly to this via email, but the best way to get the most from your Wedola account is to head over to your dashboard. So I can see straight away that I've got a new notification, I've got a new inquiry from James Smith, and it looks like I'm available. I'm also able to see the inquiry here, and it shows that I am available. So if I click onto the inquiry, either from this box or from the notification, I'll be able to see all of the information that James has submitted. From here, I can respond manually straight away or ask Wedola AI to generate a yes response for me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at quick replies. Quick replies are templated canned email templates that you can pull up at any moment when responding to an inquiry, and also customize them before sending. So you're not always going to be sending out robotic automated emails, whether you're going to accept or decline an inquiry. So to find quick replies, I'm going to head over to messages, and I will see up here on the top right, quick replies. By default, we include a accept quick reply as well as a decline quick reply. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new one, a custom one, and I'm going to call it ask for more info. I'm going to leave the template type blank because it's just a general response. If I was going to send them a portal invite, a proposal, or any other type of template, I can customize what template type that is here. I can set the default email subject and then also complete all of the email body. I don't need to start by saying hi first name because the email response is going to do that automatically for me. So I can just include what I want to say back in this email body, and that is going to save that as an email template. So I've made a very basic generic reply as an example. What I can do is I can actually add in a link here to my brochure if I have one, and then I'm going to create a quick reply. So now I can see that my quick reply is there. I can go back to the inquiry, view the inquiry that James has sent, and I will be able to automatically pre-fill with the email template. And because we've included the partner's name as Julie, I'm going to address it to both of them, so to James and Julie. I can now preview to send via email, and it's going to show me exactly what email he's going to receive. It says, hi, James and Julie, and the customized email template is here. If I am declining the wedding for whatever reason and I am unlikely to respond to them after that, I can tick archive inquiry after sending. This is basically going to archive the inquiry so that it's not listed in the long list of email inquiries, so I know who I've responded to and who still needs a follow-up. I can then hit send, and I'm also going to receive a notification once it's been delivered and once it's been read. So I'm no longer going to be guessing, have they read my email? Are they ignoring me? Am I being ghosted? So for peace of mind, the read receipts and delivered receipts, they make all of the difference when responding to couples. I also have the option to flag the inquiry, just as a reminder for me to maybe follow up with them at a later date. Or just for organizing the inquiry, I can add a tag. So if I add a tag of, say, 2026, I can then use that later on to filter inquiries, maybe for a specific venue or a specific year, all under that tag. So I'll be able to filter and sort those at a glance for responding to them again later on. Okay, so let's say hypothetically that James wants to book with me. He's chosen a specific package from my brochure and they're ready to go ahead. The next step we're going to do is we're going to create our products and packages under services so that I can easily send them a proposal, which they can then accept, sign their contract, pay their invoice, and get them all booked in. Before that though, I'm just going to quickly jump into email workflows, because what I want to do is set up an automated email reply to people that inquire via my contact form, just to let them know that I have received their email. So the way that we do that is we jump over to email workflows. We actually have some templates that we have configured that we think would fit a lot of use cases to save you creating them manually. So if I click a new workflow from template, I'm going to select autoresponder after 1 minute. And this is going to be sent after 1 minute of an inquiry received. I also have the option here to set up canned emails automatically at intervals, either before a wedding, after a wedding. So if I wanted to wish my couple happy anniversary 1 year after a wedding, or maybe send them some information before the wedding, say 6 weeks, which I often do, or even when a client status changes. This basically allows me to trigger certain emails depending on what stage the client is currently being booked with me. So right now we're going to start with inquiry received. You can actually get really creative with different types of email workflows depending on what your current process is with dealing with your couples. And if you word them in a non-robotic way, they can come across really authentic and natural and save you so much time compared to having to remember or make notes of the different information that you need to ask for your couples before and after the wedding. If you've created forms in questionnaires, which we will show you later, you can actually include these as links within your email automations so that you don't have to remember to send out forms at various intervals either. So the template has already been pre-filled for me. This is fine, actually. I'm quite happy with how this is going to look. So if I have a look down here, it's going to show you what it's going to look like when a client receives it. It's automatically going to fill out their name. So if I make some changes to the email template, I then am able to save it. By default, it's turned off, so I just need to toggle that workflow on. So now that is active, so every time somebody inquires with me, after 1 minute, they're going to receive that email autoresponder to let them know that I've received their message. Okay, so let's send James a proposal and get him booked in. First off, I need to go into Documents, Products and Services, and start adding the different package combinations that I offer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add a Product or Service, and I'm going to start with Main Videography Package. And let's say the price of this package is £3,000. What I'm going to do is, in order for the deposit to be split out automatically when they are booking me in, is I'm going to deduct the deposit from this final price. So let's say the package is £3,000, but the deposit is £500. I'm going to enter 2,500, and then we'll add in a deposit item later on. I can also add a picture, so if I have a visual representation of what this service is, I can add that in there too. If you leave that blank, it will just show your business logo by default instead. Okay, so let's save changes. So I've got the main videography package there. Actually, I'm just going to rename that and call it balance, just so that it's even clearer to the client that this is the part payment. So now let's make a deposit. So I've made a dummy package. I've got the balance and also the deposit, which combined is going to add up to that £3,000 of the package price. So what I need to do now is I need to create a contract template. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in the default products and services, terms and conditions, and any fields that I want my client to fill out when they are completing their booking. So if we head over to contracts, I'm going to create a new contract template. And at any point, if you need to see what a sample contract looks like, you can click this button to download an example PDF. So I can complete the heading and title, and if at any point I scroll down, I'll be able to see exactly what the contract is going to look like. Under essential details, I'm going to add 2 fields that I think for my business are mandatory, and that is going to be the date of the event and also the venue. And when I'm using the automatic booking, the couple is going to be able to fill out these themselves, so that's great. Additional details. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some additional boxes for information that I want to gather about my couple's wedding. Things like, am I going to be provided with a meal? Who is going to be the photographer for the wedding? Is there a planner? How many guests there's going to be? What time the ceremony is going to start? And so on. I think that these fields are important to gather and show on the contract in case of any confusion or miscommunication later on down the line, just so that you have everything in writing ahead of the event should any problems occur. And because the couple are going to fill in these fields when they are completing the proposal, I'm going to leave the default value blank. So now looking at the default services and pricing that are going to appear on this contract, you don't have to fill these out, because when you are creating an automatic contract from a proposal, the options that they pick are going to be automatically put onto the contract. So you can leave this part blank if you like, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add both the final balance and the deposit onto the contract. Okay, so onto the terms and conditions. Obviously, this is a really important part of your contract. Whilst we offer a sample copy of terms and conditions, I would definitely recommend to have it checked with a legal professional before sending out your contracts to your couples. Okay, and they have appeared at the bottom of the contract, and I can add as many clauses as I like, and then we get a preview of what the contract is going to look like empty. So now I've got my contract template ready. I can send James a proposal that he is going to accept and then automatically sign his contract and pay his deposit invoice. A proposal is essentially a prettier way of providing a quote. You can customize the look of a proposal by adding a banner image, a picture, a YouTube video, as well as selecting which options are optional, which items are classed as deposits, and whether there's any items that are part payments as well. I can then customize the look of this proposal by adding images, a YouTube video, some custom text. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on the services that we created earlier. So I've added on the main package as well as the deposit. And if you want to sort those in a different order into which they're added, you can turn on the custom sort order and shift them around by using the arrows. Because we want our couple to automatically be generated their invoices and contract when they're sent the proposal, I'm going to select that the deposit is a deposit item. That way, when I send the proposal, the system knows which items to switch out as part of a deposit invoice, which is due sooner, as well as retain any remaining items for the final balance invoice. Okay, so I've made my proposal template. This is essentially a reusable template that I can then send to clients again in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to add James as a client, then we're going to send him a customized proposal, which he can accept and then go through and sign his contract and pay his deposit invoice. Now that we know that James wants to go ahead, the first thing I need to do is add him as a client. So by clicking back into messages, I can click add as a client, and I can select which status he is at. So right now he's at pre-booking status because we're going to send him the proposal shortly. I can then automatically map any of the fields that he submitted from his contact form. So we're going to map the partner name as well as the phone, add him as a client. So right now I can see that the pending wedding date is the 1st of March 2026. I can click into their client profile. If I don't have any of the profile information details right now, doesn't matter, because when I send them the proposal and turn on the auto booking feature, they're going to have the option there to be able to complete all of that information themselves. So if I head over to proposals, I can then pick which proposal template I'm going to use, which is going to be the default one, and I'm going to click create proposal. This is going to generate a proposal specifically for James and Julie. And then, because I already have one of the items marked as a deposit, I can turn on the automatic contracts and invoices feature. We've selected which contract template that we created earlier that's going to be the base as the contract that they're going to complete. And then it's showing me the invoice payment schedule. So right now, the deposit of £500 that we created as a separate service is going to be due 7 days after accepting. I can customize these settings within the preferences, and the final balance payment of £2,500 is going to be due 30 days before the wedding. If I want to preview this and see what it's going to look like when it reaches James and Julie, and see exactly what they are going to see. So you can customize this in any way you like with different text. Like I said, adding a YouTube video, changing the cover image, and as they scroll down, they'll see the selected total. None of the items in this one are optional, but you can also add the optional items if you want to add upsells or content creation or Super 8 or anything like that, any additional services that you want to show the client that you have those options, but maybe they are not included within your package. So I'm going to send this to them via email by clicking send to client. This is going to automatically fill out an email template with all of the information about the proposal. If you have created quick replies, those canned email responses, you can mark those as a proposal template, and then you can create your own custom information within this email template rather than having to retype it each time. So I can send that now to James and Julie. And once they receive it, they can scroll down and accept and confirm the booking. So this is where the magic happens. So now that they have accepted the proposal, they get the option then to fill out things like their address. They can also add things like the partner's email address if you don't have that already, and also confirm the wedding date. So this is really important. This will set the due dates for your invoices, and it's automatically pre-filled from the date that they picked when they first inquired. So they hopefully will just be able to leave that as it is. So we know that it's Sunday the 1st of March. Then they're going to confirm the details, and they're ready to complete their contract. So this is now just generating the documents for them. So they're going to fill out and confirm the wedding date, because that was one of the fields that we included on the contract earlier on. Then they get the option to complete the rest of the contract fields that we left blank, so they can fill out any information that they have right now. So once that's done, they can click Save and Continue. That is then going to generate 2 separate invoices, one for their deposit and one for their final balance, all based around the wedding date that they specified. Okay, fantastic. So they've accepted the proposal, they've completed the contract information. Now they're presented with a contract that they need to sign, as well as an invoice for the deposit that they need to pay. They can then read through all of the information that they've provided and click Accept and Sign Contract. They can then sign this contract on their device and then accept the terms. They can then also download a signed copy of their PDF for their records if they like. And also it's showing them the invoice which they need to pay. So they can then view any deposit invoices. If you've got Stripe connected, they can pay by card immediately. Otherwise, they can scroll down and see the payment information that we provided when we were setting up our company information when we created our account. I can then head over to Documents and Invoices, and I can see here the 2 separate invoices that have been created. So one ends with D, which stands for deposit. The other one ends with B, which stands for balance. And I can see here that they've both been split out with their individual due dates based around my specified payment schedule for their wedding. I can also have a look under contracts and see the contract that they filled out and signed, so I can review that. Now let's say that James has made the transfer of the £500 for the deposit. I can go here and mark that as paid. I'm going to suggest that they have paid that today, which is the 2nd of December. I'm going to email them an automated payment confirmation as well as set them to booked. So I'm going to click on Mark as paid. And now that that is marked as paid, I can go in and add their wedding to my planner. This is the final step. So it's automatically going to pre-fill the event with their details. So I've got the start date and finish date. I just need to complete the ceremony location. What I can do is I can add that from the original inquiry. So I know that the venue is at Lake Como. I can then paste that directly into the ceremony location and add to my planner. Okay, so it's all added in the planner. If I want to add it to my device, I can do that here, or I can skip that for now. So now if I look at couples and clients, I can see all of the information that they've provided. I can see the client history, which shows me exactly all of the steps that we've been through so far together, as well as a link to their client portal, which I'll show you in a second. I can see their wedding under tasks and events. I can see the original proposal, the contract, any invoices that are due. Now, if I look back at the dashboard, I can see that my next wedding is in 89 days. I haven't completed any weddings of this year yet, but that will show when it comes to 2026 that I have completed 0 out of 1. When you're using the auto contracts and invoices feature with the proposals, your couple also get a link to their client portal. So they can access their password protected client portal, and the password is sent to them also via email. So if we take a look at what their client portal is going to look like, they will need to enter the password that we provided to access it. So the client portal is a really beautifully simple way of showcasing all of the information and communication that you've had with your couple so far. They can also add their favorite picture of themselves as a couple, so that when you're looking at their information within your Wedola app, you'll be able to see their faces at a glance just to remember who they are and what they look like. And I think it's also a really nice personalization touch as well. So now that we've updated their profile with this picture, I can see that everywhere that James and Julie's information is referenced, I can see a nice picture of them too. So if I click into couples and clients, I can see the picture here, and I can see all of the information that they've provided. If you want to add files into the client portal, maybe for all clients to be able to see, so maybe like a welcome guide, you can actually add that in by going to Documents, Files, upload it into the files section. So I'm going to add in my public liability insurance, so that to save couples from asking me if they can have that copy, I can then tick to show that in client portal. And now when James and Julie go to their client portal, at the bottom it's always going to show my public liability, so they can click and view that. You can also use this for things like welcome guides or any brochures that you may like to provide your couples around their booking. Now, if I have a look at planner view, I can jump to March, that James and Julie's wedding has been entered into my calendar. I can see on a map where it's going to be. I can also view all of the details of the task and update any information that I need here. I can add in a timeline, any social media captions or supplier lists, any private notes that I may need to enter about maybe sensitive family issues, something like that. And then once I filled out all of that information, if I wanted to produce a PDF of their booking, I can use the PDF share sheet, which is going to give me a really nicely presented PDF, for example, handing to a second shooter or an assistant. One thing that I like to do in the run up to a wedding is send my couples a questionnaire around 6 weeks before the wedding date, just so that I have an up-to-date schedule, a list of who I'm working with, any extra things that I might need to know. And photographers, they might need to know things like group shots, timings. So let's create our first questionnaire and schedule it to be set up to email to James and Julie automatically 6 weeks before their wedding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to Questionnaires, click Add Questionnaire, and very similar to the contact form builder, you can create a questionnaire with different logos, images, sections, drop downs, multiple choice, text inputs, as well as file uploads. So if you would like a client to upload maybe a mood board or a timing schedule PDF from their venue, or perhaps even a group shot list that they've already created, they can do that within your questionnaires. You can then refer back to that, export it as a PDF, or even save it as a wallpaper for your phone to glance at throughout the wedding day. Just like your contact form, you can customize this questionnaire with a logo, a banner image, as well as creating sections with pictures, so you can make it really personal and as simple or as beautiful as you would like. So now that that questionnaire is all ready to go, I've got two options really of how I can send that to my couples in advance. I can go into couples and clients. Under client portal, I can tick this box to show the 6-week check-in by default within Julie and James's client portal. If I jump over to the client portal, I'll see here now that it says questionnaires, 1 to do, which they can then go in and complete. Or alternatively, if I want to schedule this in advance, let's say 6 weeks before the wedding, I can create an email workflow, which is going to automatically email the link out to them, so I never have to worry about doing any of that. So if I go in and click create custom workflow, let's call this 6-week check-in questionnaire. And then I get to choose what time of day that email is going to go out to them. So because I want them to think that I'm really efficient, I'm going to set it at I would like to choose 8:50. So let's click choose exact minutes, and that unlocks a bit more granular detail within the slider. So I can insert a questionnaire link here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check that box. I'm going to select the 6 weeks check-in. I'm going to copy the link to my clipboard. And then for now, I'm just going to fill out the rest of the email body. So let's say 6 weeks to go. If I want to at this point, I can also add in a link to their portal, show their portal password, or include their wedding date within the subject or the email body. Now that I've got that questionnaire link copied, I can select this text here and then click the link icon, paste the link into the email body, click create email automation. So now if we go back, we can turn this on. So now it should go through and create that scheduled automated email 6 weeks before the wedding date for James and Julie. So if their wedding is the 1st of March 2026, that is going to send to them on Sunday the 18th of January, and we can preview that by clicking this. So they'll be able to click that link, complete that questionnaire form, and it's going to link and connect automatically with their client profile. Email workflows that are based around an event will automatically go out to couples at their scheduled time based around their wedding date once it's added into your planner. But let's say, for example, I didn't want to send this particular email to James and Julie. I can toggle that off here or within their client profile. Heading back over to questionnaires, if I wanted to send it to them now, I can click the send to client option and then click on their details. If I wanted to send them the link in an Instagram DM, for example, I can copy the questionnaire link, or I can compose the email directly to them. So it's automatically filling out all of this information. I can also change the color of the button. So if I feel like I'm feeling like a different brand color today, I can change that if I want to. So James and Julie can submit their timeline and submit the form directly to me. And once that's done, I will get an email copy with all of the information from their submission, as well as get a notification in my dashboard that they have filled out the 6-week check-in. So if I go in there and view that, I can go in and see all of the answers that they have submitted. If I want to, I can toggle on and edit them. They also have the option in their client portal where they can go in and edit them as well if they've made a mistake. Now, I know when I've been working with photographers, quite often they'll have the wallpaper on their phone set to a group shot list or the timeline. So you can actually do that by exporting it as an image, which is going to create a wallpaper, or you can export it as a PDF. If I then wanted to share that information with my second shooter, I can click on Share Details, pick a team member, and then send them the information from the questionnaire submission via email. So now that James and Julie's wedding in Lake Como is coming up, as we get closer to their wedding date 1 week before, their status is going to change to event upcoming. As soon as the wedding is finished, it's going to change to event complete. And after that, as their videographer, I'm going to want to edit their teaser trailer, their highlights film, and their ceremony and speeches. What I can do to keep track of those mini tasks is if I view their wedding in tasks and events, I can click onto mini tasks and I can add in a mini task for me to remember, which I can reuse across multiple clients. So then for me as their wedding videographer, what I want to do is I want to link their video gallery into their client portal. So let's say I have finished editing their video gallery. I can then paste the VidFlow, Vimeo or MediaZilla URL directly into this part of the task information. So now that I've added in either a photo or a video gallery link directly into their task information, if we have a look at the client portal, they'll be able to see a button that says video gallery or photo gallery and jump straight to the video link. So let's say that my journey with James and Julie is over. I finished editing their video and our journey has come to an end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change their status to client journey complete. When a client is set to client journey complete, you can still access all of their information. Nothing changes apart from visually marking them as completed. So you can then toggle on or off under couples and clients so you get a clearer view of what's left of your year ahead. So I think that wraps up our first introduction into getting started with your Wedola account. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. I know there was a lot to cover, and honestly I feel like I've barely touched on some of the amazing unique features within Wedola as a CRM. Wedola is unique as a wedding industry product in the sense that it is community driven. So we take in so much feedback from our users on how they run their wedding businesses to consistently add new features and make things even better. So if there are any ways that we can make Wedola work better for your wedding business, please let us know and we will add it to the feature request list. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoy setting up your account, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at the support page. Bye for now. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoy setting up your account, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at the support page. Bye for now.